Welcome back to another episode of our Crystal Isles live Let's Play series. In today's episode, I'm actually going to be by myself doing an offline episode, so this is the first time any of you guys have seen this. But we're going to be gathering tons of materials, enough to build a taming raft and a huge fortress that we can live in. And I thought that would be best served offline, where we can skip through the boring parts and show you guys all the most interesting stuff. But I will give you a full tutorial on how to gather materials crazy fast using the dinosaur team we've already assembled. We are also going to try to tame another Moschops and another much higher level Pteranodon, and we're going to build a forge and smithy and make some metal tools and crossbows. So this should be a really helpful episode. We're going to get a lot accomplished in a very short amount of time, but it will be a lot more chill than our usual episodes because we're not going to do any major crazy tames in this episode. So I totally understand if anybody wants to skip the whole video, or if you want to just skip to the taming parts we're going to do here, feel free to use the timestamps in the video or the chapters in the video bar at the bottom of the screen. But I'm sure a lot of you will find this video really helpful and make you actually much more efficient at gathering resources on your own Ark adventures. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode, but don't worry because Jen will be back and we will be live again very soon. So make sure you subscribe to this channel and ring the bell to enable all notifications so you don't miss out on us when we're live streaming next. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends, and let's get started. So first we'll show you how to gather wood crazy fast on the Crystal Isles, and the first step is to tame a beaver. Now you're not normally supposed to tame a beaver until you're like in the level 60 range, because that's when you can actually make a saddle for it, but we have a great trick we'll show you here, which lets us use the beaver to its full potential, even though it's a tiny bit slower and more cumbersome. And on the last episode we went through a lot of trouble to tame this Justin Beaver here, but now it's going to pay off like crazy. So as you can see, we already got like 300 wood from this guy, just from a couple of trees he cut down. Beavers get insane amounts of wood from trees. Now, they will harvest a tree automatically if they're standing next to it. They just like to do that, and if you set a beaver on wander, it'll just wander around and chop down any tree that is nearby. But it takes it a while to actually do that because it's just randomly wandering. Now, we can make this a lot easier by telling the beaver to follow us and having it follow us right up to a tree, and then when it sits there next to it, it's going to just stop for a second and then cut the whole tree down. We can also use whistle commands to tell it to go from place to place, and when it runs past a tree, it should chop down that tree. Now, Justin Beaver here is a very special beaver because he doesn't do what he's supposed to very quickly. So normal beavers will instantly chop down that tree the second you tell him to stop. But Justin just takes his time because he's just like that. He's just kind of a lame beaver. But we'll show you how to speed this up a lot. So now we have Justin Beaver selected to his own ordering group, so all of the other dinosaurs will ignore my whistles and only Justin Beaver listens to my whistle commands right now, which is great because we have a whole herd of other dinos over there which will come running if I whistle. So I also found out for the first time that on keyboard, if you're playing Ark with a keyboard, you can hit the J and U buttons to actually tell everything to follow you or stop. So you can toggle between your dinos following you and stopping in place just by hitting those two keys, which saves a lot of time. I actually never knew that, so I'm learning new stuff all the time too. So we just parked Justin next to those trees, had him chop down a couple of them. Now we're going to whistle for him to follow us, and then once he gets in range of these two, we'll whistle to stop again. So here he is just going to sit next to those trees for a second and then chop them down. And once again, if you've got a normal beaver, he will instantly chop them down, so this process is much faster, but he's still working his way through and chopping down the trees. Now I've noticed Crystal Isles, especially in this area, has a little bit of glitchiness with some of the auto-harvest dinosaurs. Like Doedicurus will not auto-harvest on this mountain at all, or I think in the entire White Shoals area, which is kind of crazy, but it's kind of a pain, but we'll be alright. So I'm going to have this guy stop here, he'll chop down a few more trees, and then once this parasaur is getting close to full on his weight, I'll bring all of the wood over to the smithy, drop it all in the inventory, and then we'll use that for building all kinds of stuff. So when this guy finally decides to chop down those trees, we'll do that. Now, if your beaver stops working altogether, and he's not just a special beaver like Justin Beaver here, you might have him at half of his weight carrying capacity, because they will stop auto-harvesting once they hit 50% of their max weight. So that's another good thing, is to just check and unload his inventory every now and then, and that'll keep him harvesting. So now our parasaur is getting kind of close to max weight, but we can increase that capacity as he levels up by leveling up his weight stat. Also, whenever our beaver levels up, we're putting all of its points into melee damage, which will make it so it gets more wood for every tree it chops down. And before long, he'll be getting 200 wood per tree really easily. And once the parasaur is full, we'll just walk it over to the smithy, and we park the parasaur right next to the smithy so that we can stand between the two, and we don't actually have to take any steps to reach between the two inventories. And that means we can load all the wood that we can possibly fit onto ourselves and then load it back into the smithy. And it goes even faster if we use the search bar and type WOO for wood, and it'll select all of the wood, and then we can just hit the transfer all button to push it all into the smithy. So it's a really fast and efficient system, and this will get us a couple thousand wood in no time at all. So now let's show you how we get the thatch and fiber we're going to need for all of our wood building projects, and then we'll start taming some stuff. So on the, I think, third episode of this series, we tamed Red Skull the Triceratops, which was pretty intense to tame, but it's totally paying off now because it can gather thousands of berries in just a couple minutes, and as you can see here, we're able to mow through entire groves of trees for hundreds of thatch. So it's really good at gathering thatch. It gets a little bit of wood in the process, but if we do this for a little bit, we'll clear out this forest in no time and have hundreds of thatch, and that'll have enough of the thatch we need for all of our building projects. We're also going to keep boosting his melee damage, which will be really helpful, and while we're doing this, we're also gathering seeds, which we're going to use in our garden. So as you can see up here, I've actually set up a couple of crop plots. You can build those in your inventory, and eventually, after you gather tons of berries, there's a very low chance of getting seeds. And we actually just got some rock carrot seeds, which is really exciting because I want to make a bunch of carrots, because there is a chance, it's a low chance, but there is a chance we can actually tame that unicorn that was running around down at the bottom of the mountain. He's probably dead by now, but just for the heck of it, I'm making all of my garden plots carrots. Now, crops are awesome because you can eat them for a lot of food. It's just a constant food supply for your character, which is still great, but they are really effective at taming herbivores, much more effective than mejoberries, so you can cut your taming times probably in half with a lot of herbivores will tame. And the reason I'm shooting for carrots exclusively right now is because if that unicorn happens to still be alive down at the bottom of the mountain, which is really unlikely because we'll probably have some crocodiles spawning on top of him and he'll just be toast, but just in case, we might actually get enough carrots to tame him in the near future, so we're going to try that. Now, to give you a real quick crash course on vegetable gardening, now I have a full guide on how to do that, which I'll try to put a link in the description of this video for that. It's much better than what I'm going to do here. But the basics are you put down a crop plot, in this case medium crop plot. Advanced vegetables will not grow in small crop plots, only medium and large. And then we're going to put some seeds in its inventory. You only need one seed per plot. It also needs fertilizer, which in this case is dinosaur feces, and then it needs to have some water. And you can just open up your inventory, go into the water, use your water skin to fill it, and then you actually transfer the water skin into the crop plot and use it as if you were drinking from it, which will put water into the crop plot. And from there, as long as you keep them watered, you keep them enough fertilizer, it will slowly grow over time and eventually start producing carrots. So we'll see if we can race against time and have some carrots before the unicorn either kills himself, gets eaten by something, or just despawns, which all of those could happen, but it's worth a try and we'll see what happens. Now, the last ingredient for all the wooden construction materials we need is fiber, and Moschops are actually amazing at getting fiber. You can gather fiber just from gathering berries, which is great and all, but look how much fiber we're getting from tearing through these bushes with this Moschops. It's ridiculous, like hundreds of fiber per minute. And the Moschops is actually great at gathering thatch from trees, too. And as strange as it is, I'm actually finding out that this particular Moschops is better at harvesting thatch than even my Triceratops, and he's a whole lot faster. So if you get a Moschops, you may not necessarily even need a trike, but I just went through that entire forest and I got, let's see, yeah, like over 300 fiber in literally 30 seconds. It's pretty ridiculous. Moschops will also auto-harvest bushes if you just leave them sitting there, and if you set them on wander, they'll go through and just pick up tons of berries and fiber as they're walking around. And an interesting thing about Moschops is when you're gathering fiber, you're also getting tons of berries, which is great. So we'll just tear through all of this stuff and get tons of materials in no time at all. And once we have a few thousand fiber, we'll drop it back in the smithy and be ready to start constructing. So while I was out gathering with the Moschops, I noticed this Moschops here. This is a female, and we've already got a male, and she wants rare flowers, which we can actually get as long as I can find one. So this is actually really exciting because we have a male Moschops, and if we can get a female, we can actually breed them. And believe it or not, it's actually really helpful to have lots of different Moschops because you can specialize them into being really good at gathering a certain item each. And we can get one that's amazing at raw prime meat, one that's really good at raw prime fish meat, one that's amazing at organic polymer, things like that. So each of your Moschops can be totally maximized. So it's actually really worth having a pair of them that we can breed. And if nothing else, it'll be nice to have a backup Moschops too. So we're going to see if we can tame this girl, see what she wants. We've actually tried to tame this particular orange Moschops like 3 times, and every time we try it, she wants prime meat, which we have not been able to get. But we're just going to see, since we're already up here gathering, we'll just see if we can get all the stuff she wants, and we'll be back and see what she wants next. Well, we're back. We've been gathering around this spot, and we got really lucky because she just wants a mejoberry, which we have tons of. So we'll feed her real quick, and we've got her almost completely tamed, depending on what she wants next. Alright, well we've gathered a whole bunch of thatch and berries, and we just saw that she is ready to eat again, and check it out, she wants a rare mushroom. That could be bad because they are very rare, but I know exactly where to find some. So any of these blue crystals will drop a lot of crystal, as long as they're not, non-functional ones, like there's a lot of those. And let me see if I can get across this. Nope. Okay, here we go. We'll just use our parasaur as a ladder to get up that slope. That's great. So around these big blue crystals, there's a lot of little crystal formations, and the small ones you can actually harvest, as long as they're not, like, broken. Some of them just don't work, but yep, here we go. As long as I can harvest these, I should be able to get some crystal, and oh, that one's broken, great. The smaller ones seem to work better. So we're gonna get a bunch of stone, but if we're lucky, we'll get a rare mushroom, and just like their name implies, they are quite rare, but if we luck out, we are going to be able to feed that Moschops and actually finish taming it for a change, which is really exciting. There we go, we got one. Okay, great. I'm having to race against time because as soon as she gets a craving for food, her taming bar immediately starts decreasing. And if that goes back down too far, we'll have to feed her again. And if she wants prime meat, we are toast. We can't get anything for her yet. So let's see here. Oh no, I'm tired. This is no time for a snack break. All right. We'll put that rare mushroom in our inventory while we're taking a break here and see if we can get here fast enough. Come on. Oh yeah, we tamed another Moschops, and she immediately started chasing us and just ate something. So, wow, this is a kind of cool dodo. I'm just gonna go ahead and tame this. It's a female and it's crazy looking, so maybe this will be She-Hulk. But dodos are so easy to tame. I'm just gonna put some berries in its inventory, and it should tame up before it actually runs out of torpor. So check it out. We have 2 Moschops. They are pretty awesome looking, and I'm gonna go ahead and take them back to the base, and we'll just, for the heck of it, see if we can breed these guys. It's worth a try, and it certainly wouldn't hurt to get an army of Moschops. Moschops, if I can get this parasaur out of this trench it's stuck in. So we'll run back to the base and try to breed these guys. So we've got both of our Moschops back to the base, and it is raining, which is actually great for our garden because the rain will automatically water our plants all the way up to maximum. Now I'm going to open up their options and go over to behavior here, and I'm going to enable mating, and that's going to get both of those two mating, and after a couple of minutes that mating bar you see there will fill up all the way, and they'll actually have a little egg, which is great, and then that's going to be a fertilized egg, which we'll try to incubate after that. But if you guys are wondering, there's a lot of dinos that'll drop eggs just if they're wild, but it has to be a fertilized dinosaur egg in order to hatch, and it has to be one from a couple of dinos that have actually mated. So I just went ahead and boosted some of his specialty to prime meat harvesting. So our Moschops is now going to be really good at harvesting prime meat. And eventually he'll be getting twice as much prime meat from anything that we kill than we normally would have. So he's going to be super helpful. And I'm going to drop off some of the fiber and thatch we've been gathering on our expedition. So we'll be right back when they lay that egg. Alright, I just finished sorting my inventory, and looks like we have, you see this red glow from behind that Moschops? That's because she's actually sitting on a fertilized Moschops egg. Check it out. So we're going to go ahead and disable breeding now, and that's going to keep them from mating anymore. And we've got two really great Moschops, which is awesome, and now we have a third in the form of an egg. We'll just have to see if we can actually hatch this, because depending on the temperature needs, you may have something we can't actually hatch. So we're in a very warm tropical environment, and as you can see here, this egg says it is a fertilized Moschops egg, and that is totally different than a regular unfertilized egg that the dinosaurs will lay without mating. So we'll go ahead and drop this Moschops egg on the foundation next to the fire, because if it's too cold we can turn on the forge and that will actually give it some additional heat, and we'll see if we can get it warm enough for this guy. But as you can see here, it's too hot, and it looks like anywhere on this mountain is going to be too hot during the day to actually hatch this egg. So some dinos need a really cold climate in order to hatch an egg, so we may have to wait until we've got an air conditioner to make it cool enough to actually hatch this egg. Most eggs will need some heat, but this one actually needs to be pretty cool. So we'll have to come back later, but the good news is this egg will take 7 days before it spoils as long as we have it in our inventory or storage, so we'll just hang on to it until we can actually hatch it. So I ran back and checked on our little green dodo, and sure enough, it finished taming without us. You usually don't even have to give them any narco berries if they're low level, because they'll tame up with medjo berries so fast they don't even need it. So we now have a bright neon green dodo who almost perfectly matches our other male dodo named Hulk, so this one will probably be She-Hulk. But we do need a name for the Moschops, so please drop a comment and let us know what you guys would like to name this Moschops we tamed. But now we have two female dodos, which will lay a lot of eggs. And the male dodo actually gives them a mating boost, which gives them about twice the egg-laying speed. So it's really helpful to have one male dodo in with all of your females. And now we're going to head to this crazy little secret path up the mountain and gather some metal, because we're going to be able to make a forge, smithy, and lots of tools. So we already put down the forge and smithy with a little bit of metal that we grabbed earlier. And those are pretty straightforward for constructing those. But now we're going to grab a lot of metal, because I want to make some metal tools like a metal pickaxe and metal hatchet, and in a very soon we'll actually be able to unlock the crossbow, which is probably my favorite weapon in the game just because it's so easy to get its ammunition. So we'll have those pretty soon, and they'll actually make us really powerful, and we'll be able to take out a lot of dinos that way. And right there you can see the metal nodes in the background, and what is this? Okay. Well, you know what they say, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush, right? We'll just check this Pteranodon out and see what level it is. Okay, it's a female. We need a female, and it's almost level 50, which is just about perfect. I think above 50 or 60, we might have trouble knocking one out. So let's see here. I've actually got a couple trank arrows left over, and I'll need a couple wooden clubs, but I'll go grab some materials and make those, and then we'll see if we can KO this Pteranodon. All right, well, she's still here. She just landed again, and we'll go ahead and bola her so she can't fly away. That's going to immobilize her, because the second you hit a Pteranodon, it flies away and you'll never catch it. But with the bola, she's got 30 seconds, and I'm counting in my head up to 30, because once she gets close to 30, she's going to fly away. She'll break out of the bola. So I've got a couple trank arrows handy, so once we get really close to the time she's going to break away, which is just about now, I'm going to hit her with a couple of trank arrows, which will give her some more torpidity over time. And, oh, perfect. Okay, she was seconds away from flying away, and whoa, turtle, whoa. What are you doing? What is this? You just walked all over my Pteranodon. If you wouldn't be so hard to kill, I would just club you in the face, turtle. Wow. Have you guys ever seen such a jerk move by a turtle? I cannot believe that. Wow, just wow. Let us know in the comments what you think about that turtle. So while the Pteranodon was still flying and we were waiting for her to land, we grabbed some more metal, which we've got loaded on the parasaur. So I'm going to head back down to the bottom of the mountain at our base, and we'll go to our forge and smithy and try to craft some better tools. And we're back at our forge and smithy. I've had the metal ingots smelting for a little bit, so we've got some metal here. And when I open up our smithy, we're going to transfer that into the smithy. And from here, we should actually be able to unlock the engrams for our tools. So there we go. We can learn the metal pick, and we'll go ahead and learn the metal hatchet. And then when we open up our smithy with all the materials inside the smithy, we can actually craft these tools. Oh-ho-ho! And the crossbow. Yes, I am super excited about that. We can't quite unlock the sickle yet, but that's another really useful tool. So let's go ahead and start with our metal pickaxe and metal hatchet, and we'll go ahead and craft one of each of those. Now, the metal hatchet is going to let us chop down trees really fast and effectively. It gets us much more than the stone things would. And then the metal pick will actually get us like 10 times as much metal as we could get from our stone pick. So that's going to allow us to get lots of metal, load up our parasaur while we're taming up that Pteranodon, and we'll run right back up the mountain with a bunch of tranks and see if we can keep that thing unconscious while we get all the metal and crystal up there. So this tame is coming along nicely, but this Pteranodon is eating so many narco berries, it's ridiculous. It's waking up a lot faster than the lower level one we tamed, but we've already gotten a whole bunch of metal nodes and collected all of them, and there's just a couple of them left, so this is actually coming along quite nicely. But what we're doing is we're parking our parasaur right next to the metal nodes, and then we are hopping off where we're still touching the metal and the parasaur. And the reason for this is because we get overweight to the point we can't move very quickly, but if I'm standing right in range of the parasaur and the metal, I can fill up my entire inventory with metal, and then I can just hand it over to the parasaur, and that way nobody gets stuck where they can't move. So we'll keep doing this for a little bit, and we'll actually gather as many crystal nodes as we can too. And then I set up a storage box up top so I don't have to go all the way back down the mountain, and we've been filling that up with metal and crystal as we go while this Pteranodon is taming up. So before you know it, we'll have all the metal and crystal we need to do a lot of fun stuff. And hopefully that Pteranodon will be tamed up really soon too. So we've been doing runs back and forth for a while, and we've actually picked up every bit of metal and crystal on top of this mountain, which is great because it will respawn over time. So in a few hours we'll check back and it should be there again. And we'll have basically an unlimited metal supply, and after a few runs and quite a while, we finally have this female Pteranodon tamed up. Check it out. So she is level 67 by the time she finished taming, so we got a really high taming percentage, and she's going to be really good because she'll have much better health, stamina, and weight carrying capacity than the other male we tamed at a lower level. But the great thing about that is now that we have two, we can actually breed them and get baby Pteranodons, which will be really helpful because I'm hoping to have some friends join us on this series very soon, and if we all have Pteranodons we can fly on, it's going to be so much more fun. So we'll need a Pteranodon for each person. So that's a really good accomplishment for this one episode. We got a Moschops, a Pteranodon, some metal tools, metal pick and hatchet. We actually have the ability to make crossbows now, so we'll be using that from now on, and that's actually going to make our trank arrows more effective too. So a lot of really good stuff we've accomplished on this episode, and we're actually going to do a lot more exciting things very soon too. So keep an eye out for the next episode. Make sure you subscribe to this channel and ring that bell for all notifications, because we have a lot of great content coming soon, and we will be actually streaming live again very soon, and Jen will be joining me. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and we will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching this video.
If you enjoyed it or found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it on social media so your friends can enjoy it too.
And make sure you subscribe to this channel and ring the bell to enable all notifications, because we have lots of awesome new guides, tips, tricks, live streams, and Let's Plays for Ark and other awesome games coming soon, and you won't want to miss any of that.
We already have lots more fun and helpful videos just like this one, so check out the links at the end of this video to keep watching. You can also chat with other gamers if you join our channel's Discord at the link in the description.
If you want to earn great rewards while supporting this channel, click the join link next to the subscribe button for more information about our channel memberships. We want to give a big thank you to some of our biggest supporters of this channel: Sabo0283, Cole Parmenter, Emmy Fisher, Wolfgirl Be Like, Kelly Razak, and Ashley Owens. Thank you all so much for everything you do to make this channel possible.
So until next time, we hope you have fun on your own video game adventures, and
We will see you in our next video.